posted a video on this YouTube channel. But today I got this engine here. It's a B18b1. I got from a customer. Apparently this engine here was built by somebody else. They got this engine used and somebody else was building it. Had it in the car. The car never started. They checked compression and it has no compression on cylinder 3. So what I am doing today is I am going to tear this engine down. Just show you a few pointers or a few things that I've learned along the way on how to tear B18 or any Honda motors that are out there. I am not a professional at doing this. I am, I do have some mechanic background, but let's get right into it. Let me put you in a different angle, that way we can get started on this. Alright, so they've already taken off the valve cover bolts here. There's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts, and then the valve cover comes off there. Then you got your gasket here, comes off. Before we tear this engine apart, we have to get this engine on in time. That just basically helps you. So when you go put it in time, everything's back the way you took it. Number one, piston has to be up, and you're not running into the trouble. If it does move, you can always adjust it, but you are. It's gonna make it easier for you. So we're gonna turn these cams, and I'm gonna put you in a different angle. We're gonna turn these cams, turn the crank actually, and get it top dead center. And I will show you where top dead center is once I get it top dead center. Alright, so I'm gonna turn the crank counterclockwise or clockwise. So these marks, you see the marks here, says up, up. They have to be facing straight up. And then we'll check number 1 cylinder, make sure that's up. And I'll show you how to check that up. You actually stick a screwdriver in here, number 1 cylinder, and you'll see it go all the way up. And once it starts to come back down, you'll know that that's number 1 cylinder. Alright, so screwdriver's in, and I'm gonna spin it to get it to number 1 top dead center. See, the screwdriver just dropped. That means the piston's going back down, and it's going back up. There. Going back down again, and we're coming up on our up marks. And then once the up is straight, both of them have to be straight up, just like that. Maybe a little bit more. Let's do it, and just watch the screwdriver. Once it starts to go back down, there it is. And that's top dead center there. So now we can start taking the timing cover. There's 2 parts to the timing belt cover. The top part and the bottom part. To take off the top part, take off this bolt here. And that's it. You remove that. And then you take off, take that one off, and that one off, and that one off. And these bolts are different size. The bottom ones are a lot smaller than the top ones, except for that one, I believe. And then that should release the bottom half of your timing belt. Alright, now that you have the covers off, you can see all the components here related to the timing belt. This is your water pump pulley, your tensioner pulley. This timing belt does not have an idler pulley. There are different ones that do, but this one doesn't. First thing I always do is release this spring just with the regular needle nose pliers. I have extra long here to help visibility through the video. Now that that's released, you grab yourself a 14mm socket and you put it on the tensioner side, and this releases all the tension off your belt. As you can see, you saw some slack. You can remove it all the way off, which I normally do, and it just slides right off. Sometimes there is some slack in the belt here, tension is what I mean, and when you remove this, sometimes the cams do move. Alright, so now that we've removed the timing belt, in order to get this head off so we can properly inspect what's causing this no compression, they've already tried putting some oil down the cylinders and made no change. So the next step is to remove the head off the block and visually inspect the valves, the piston rings, and etc. So the first thing I'm gonna do here is remove the head, but before we can remove the head, we have to remove the cam gears, the camshaft and the cam gears. In order to do that, you simply remove all of the caps here, and you have two here also. These are all 10mm, and they both come off. They are both different, so make sure that you do put the exhaust and the intake separate. Once you remove all these bolts here, these caps can only go one way on each side. They are different. Most of the time they're going to be on there pretty well tight once you remove the bolts. What I usually do is just grab a little rubber mallet and tap them, each one, and they do come off. It takes a little bit of time, but it just ensures that you don't break them or damage them in the process. Just have somewhere where you can put them the way they're supposed to be. So I'm going to take these up. And you just do that along the line, and I'll show you once I have them set up on the table the way I have them. Alright, so once you I took off all the caps, I set them up in the order they were in the actual engine, one by one. I put the exhaust cam next to it so I know where it goes, and the intake cam next to the intake caps, so that I know where which one belongs to which side. That way I don't get them mixed up. So the next step would be to remove all the bolts holding the head to the block. They're all 14mm bolts. There's one there, and they just go on each side of the actual head. You can remove the intake if you want. You don't have to. The whole head can come up with the intake attached. I usually don't. It just saves me a little bit of time. You can also remove each one of these rockers off of the head, but then again, that's all up to you. I usually don't, just to save me a little bit of time. But let me remove that. I'm gonna fast forward it just to save time on the video. Alright, now that you got all the head bolts off, the head should come off. There's one vacuum line that comes from the PCV. Well, actually it's not the PCV. This line here goes down and there's a line underneath it that you disconnect. And that should be the only thing holding the head. Oh, actually no, there's another line here. Let's see if you can see it. There's a line here going to the idle control valve right here that you need to take off. After that, and I will remove that, and then once I remove that, I will come back and show you how to get the head off. Alright, I removed the line. It's off. Now all I have to do is pick up the head and set it down, and you should be able to inspect it from there or do whatever you need to do with it. So yep, you just pick it up. It's a little heavy, but it comes up just like that, and there it is. So I got the head upside down. The piston actually is still in good conditions. There's some oil from when they were spraying oil. Head gasket does not look that bad, but it is getting replaced as well. I will be doing other stuff to the bottom end, but if you look here, this is cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you go down, this would be the intake side valves. These would be the exhaust side valves. If you can tell, this one's sitting flush, almost completely sealed, sealed, flush, sealed. It might look like it's bulging up a little bit, but that's because of the carbon. The carbon's sitting there. But if you get here, sealed. But if you notice, see if I can get this camera here. This is cylinder 3, the one that had no compression. If you can notice, you look closely, that one there is lifted up a little bit. Compared to that one, there's a gap there. Like you can stick your nail underneath it. And this is the exhaust side valve. That one's, you can't get your nail underneath it at all. This one, you can. Another test is, see if I can get this to work. If I put a flashlight and flash it, if that was sitting sealed, you would not be able to see anything in it. Like this cylinder here, it's sealed. This is cylinder 4, sealed, no light. That valve, and you can see light through it. Also, let's see if I can get the light in the correct spot. You can tell the valve kind of has mushroomed right there. So this head is going to need new valves and new valve springs. Basically a whole valve job. And that is the reason why it didn't have any compression, because when that piston, that cylinder is trying to build compression, being that this valve is sticking up, all the compression is actually escaping through here to the exhaust and going down at the exhaust. But yeah, that's the teardown. I will be making another video on the installation of it, and I might record doing the valves depending on what they want to do with this. But I'll see you next time.